September 18th, 2004 marks a monumental shift in music history. This is the day that is simultaneously the end of one era and the beginning of multiple new ones. And fortunately for us, the whole thing is on video. I'm, of course, talking about the concert documentary Dave Chappelle's Block Party, which was released in 2005 and is, in my opinion, the best concert documentary of the 21st century. I know that's a bold claim, and I'm prepared to back it up. This concert features many artists from the Soulquarians collective, like The Roots, Erykah Badu, Common, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, and Jill Scott, as well as other artists, some of whom were reuniting and others who were just launching their careers. It represents the beginning of some artists and musicians who would take over the world, as well as the end of the Soulquarians era. So here's what we're doing in this video. I'm gonna break down all of the crazy aspects of this documentary. There are so many, and at least a few that you probably don't realize. After going through all of them, you'll have one of three possible reactions. Number one, how did I not know this documentary existed? This is incredible, I have to watch it right now. And you should, it's truly incredible. Option number two, oh yeah, I remember this. I didn't know that though, man. I gotta rewatch this. In which case, you'll enjoy this movie even more. Or number three, yeah, I already knew every aspect of what you just listed. Let's be best friends. And honestly, I'm super down for that. So first up, let's talk about the end of the Soulquarians. Look, I could talk about the Soulquarians for a very long time. In fact, I already have. One of my first videos was all about the beginning of the Soulquarians and how that movement was born out of the '95 Source Awards. I've also already done videos breaking down songs by D'Angelo, Erykah, The Roots, J Dilla, Mos Def, Blackstone. In other words, most of the artists that are in Dave Chappelle's Block Party. But going back to the '95 Source Awards, this was a huge cultural moment for several reasons. It's the height of the East Coast West Coast beef, but also multiple other musical movements came out of that night directly. Andre 3000 got on stage and after getting booed said the South's got something to say, which lit a fire for Southern hip hop, including Outkast with albums like ATLiens, Aquemini, and Stankonia. And at the same event, as Questlove has told, right at the most tense moment, he decides to leave and someone passes him a cassette tape on his way out the door. That tape was D'Angelo's Brown Sugar, which led to the formation of the Soulquarians and albums like Voodoo, Mama's Gun, Like Water for Chocolate, Things Fall Apart, and many more. Now, going back to Chappelle's Block Party, this documentary, this concert acts as a bookend on the other side. The Soulquarians at their height, collaborating together one final time, and multiple other musical movements rise up out of this. But before we cover the new musical movements, let's enjoy how incredible the Soulquarians are in this concert. The Roots are the house band. Common performs. Mos Def and Talib Kweli perform separately and as Blackstar. Bilal, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott. Oh, Jill and Erykah together. Here's a crazy side story. So the Roots song, You Got Me, that was the lead single on Things Fall Apart, which was a breakthrough album for the Roots. The song was co-written by Jill Scott, who originally sang the hook, but the label wanted a bigger name attached, so it was re-recorded by Erykah Badu. So in this documentary, for the first time, we get to hear both women singing this hook together. Outside of the Soulquarians, we also get to see Big Daddy Kane and Kool G Rap perform with the Roots, as well as Dead Prez. Now, I want you to notice something though. While the Roots are the house band, there are a few rotating musicians. And in some of these performances, the bass player's hub, Leonard Hubbard, longtime bass player for the Roots, who would leave in 2007. But when it's not him, it's this guy. And this guy would take over the world musically. That is not an exaggeration by any means. I'm going to talk about who he is and what he would go on to do in just a moment, but I'm going to plant that little teaser there for now. This block party concert took place on September 18th, 2004, and the documentary debuted at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2005. But it wouldn't be released in the United States commercially until March of 2006, and already there's so much in there to cover. For one, this documentary was directed by Michel Gondry, who directed Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and would go on to do Be Kind Rewind with Jack Black and Mos Def. Those are very fun, quirky movies, Be Kind Rewind especially, and some of that tone makes it over into this documentary as well. Oh, Michel Gondry has also done a ton of crazy creative music videos, like the Daft Punk Around the World video. And then there's Dave Chappelle. At the time of filming, he was still making Chappelle's Show, and no one is having more fun in this movie than Chappelle. He's talking to people, handing out golden tickets to the show, and is so excited to see each of these artists perform. He works the crowd in between music acts and does stuff like ask if anyone in the crowd can MC, picking this guy to come on stage and rap. There's something else in that scene too, something huge, but we'll come back to that at the end. But by the time this movie was released commercially in the US, Chappelle's Show had ended, and again, this was released in March of 2006. So it opens with a dedication to J Dilla, who had just passed away the month before. Now, why am I saying this is the end of the Soulquarians? Well, because that's what Questlove himself said. At the time we were shooting Dave Chappelle's block party, I knew that it was the last time the Electric Eight were going to be together. Mos, Common, Bilal, D'Angelo, Erykah, James Poyser, J Dilla, and me. I knew that it was our funeral. I knew that the next renaissance wasn't going to be roots-centric. Seeing Kanye with the marching band from that movie, I knew I wasn't going to be central to the next movement anymore. He was going to be the leader, and I would have to be fine with it. That's right, it's 2004, and a young Kanye West, who had just released The College Dropout, also performs at this show. This is Kanye in very early form, but you can see he's ready to take over. Which of course he absolutely did. But before any Grammys, before graduation or 808s or late registration, Pablo, Yeezus, Dark Fantasy, before any of that, he's performing on stage with the Roots at Dave Chappelle's block party, having just released his debut album, hungry and ready for the next level. What's wild is it's not just Kanye. He's got his own scene coming up with him. Specifically, he's performing with a marching band, but also his DJ is none other than A-Trak. He was already well established as a turntablist at this point, but shortly after this documentary, A-Trak would become huge in the EDM scene, and in 2007 he would help found the record label Fool's Gold, which is its own scene entirely. In addition to A-Trak, look who else is on stage with him. That's John Legend, a young singer who was about to release his debut album Get Lifted on Kanye's Good Music label in December of 2004. John Legend would go on to, be John Legend. But at this point, he was a brand new artist who hadn't released his debut album yet. But he had credits like recording piano for Everything Is Everything from The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Which, right, Lauryn Hill is in this show too. The crazy thing is Chappelle explains that she was originally supposed to close out the show, but couldn't get her songs cleared for the performance. But Lauryn thought of an alternate idea. Then it's, just a casual Fugees reunion. I'm telling you, this is the craziest concert documentary you will ever see. There are elements from the past like the Fugees reuniting in concert for the first time since 1997, or Big Daddy Kane or Kool G Rap featured, and it's also a time capsule of the Soulquarians at their height. The Roots, Erykah, Common. Oh, you remember the infamous Soulquarians photo from Vibe magazine? Of the 10 people pictured, 7 of them are performing in this show. And in the credits it says additional concert mixing at Electric Lady by Russell Elevado. The man who mixed D'Angelo's Voodoo at the location where all the Soulquarians recordings happened. And as Questlove said, he knew that this show was the end of an era, the last time they'd all be together. He knew he wasn't going to be central to the next musical movement. It was Kanye's turn. But then this documentary is previewing so much of the future that would unfold. Not just Kanye, not just John Legend, but they would of course go on to be huge. But remember that bass player I pointed out? This guy. That's none other than Adam Blackstone. If you're a musician, you hopefully know who this is. If you're not familiar, okay, so Questlove is the music director of this block party performance. That means he's in charge of the music, the arrangements, who plays what is on him. Any additional live hits or different chords or whatever, he's responsible for that, as well as putting the whole show together. Well, Adam Blackstone came up under Questlove, describing him as his forever MD, and that he changed his life. Adam Blackstone also played on Jay-Z's Fade to Black concert documentary at Madison Square Garden with Questlove. And because of Fade to Black and Dave Chappelle's Block Party, Adam Blackstone started getting more attention. He would go on to be the bassist and musical director for acts like Justin Timberlake, Rihanna, Janet Jackson, Maroon 5, Alicia Keys, Eminem, Kanye, and he's been the music director for shows like the Oscars, the Grammys, as well as many, many TV specials. Shakira and J-Lo at the Super Bowl, Adam Blackstone. Rihanna at the Super Bowl, Adam Blackstone. Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick at the Super Bowl, Adam Blackstone. The man is unstoppable. But in Dave Chappelle's Block Party, he's on his second big gig playing bass in the house band. As if all of this wasn't enough. Remember earlier when I mentioned that Chappelle asked if anyone in the crowd could MC? This guy raising his hand right here, that's a 19-year-old J. Cole. You can spot him a few times in the crowd, and he's confirmed that that's him, saying the show was incredible. In 2007, J. Cole would release his debut mixtape, and in 2011, his debut album, and many more since. This is why this is the best music documentary of the 21st century. You've got the peak of one musical movement, the Soulquarians, giving us effectively the only Soulquarians live show we're ever gonna get. You've got the Fugees reunion. Newer artists would explode after this like A-Track, John Legend, and Kanye, and then you've got the next generation in the form of Adam Blackstone and J. Cole. You wanna get really meta? Next? I've owned this documentary on full-screen DVD since full-screen DVDs were a thing, the day that it came out. It's had a huge impact on me, and it's probably safe to say that this channel would not exist without this documentary. I love this movie. If you have not seen it, go watch it right now. If you knew all of this and more, drop a comment. We're officially best friends now. And while this is the end of the Soulquarians, the beginning came out of the '95 Source Awards, which is its own crazy story. So to get into that, you gotta click here.